Hello, and welcome to the Yankees Seasons Podcast, Episode 7, Play Ball. Last time we wrapped up our coverage of spring training, made it out of Florida, and back to New York before the official start of the 1956 season. Mickey Mantle had shown he was ready to make this year one of the best years of his career, hitting 7 home runs in the spring while still missing over a week's worth of games. Bill Skowron also impressed, batting .429 and earning his spot outright at first base. Obviously, the big news last time was that we made it all the way to opening day, Tuesday, April 17th, 1956. Hello and good morning from our nation's capital. President Eisenhower, returning to D.C. from vacation in Augusta with plenty of time to spare, made his way to his seat at Griffith Stadium before throwing out the inaugural first pitch, officially kicking off the 1956 season. He threw it to Yankee fielder Gil McDougald, and when inscribing the ball to McDougald, he wrote, "To Joe McDougald. An election year is not the time to forget constituents' names, Mr. President." For the home team Washington Senators, they would be looking to build on their 53-101 last place finish in the American League their previous year, and to say this was a restructuring season would not be an understatement. Dick Tettelbach, Lou Berberet, and Whitey Herzog would all be getting starts in the game, all being acquired by the club earlier from the Yankees as part of that McDermott trade. The Senators were looking to turn the ship around and start off the home season with a win. How unfortunate for them to be squaring off against the reigning American League champion, New York Yankees. As part of the festivities for opening day, the lineups were celebrated on the field before the game. For the hometown Senators, the lineup consisted of leading off and playing third base, longtime Senator Eddie Yost. Batting second and playing left field, Dick Tettelbach. Playing right field, batting third, is Whitey Herzog. Batting cleanup and playing first base, Roy Sievers. Playing second and batting fifth, Pete Runnels. Stopping the ball behind the plate at catcher and batting sixth, Lou Berberet. In center, batting seventh, Carl Olson. Batting eighth, the shortstop Jose Valdevilso. And finally, batting ninth and pitching, Camilo Pascal. As another clear indication, the Washington Senators were really just doubling down on young talent and hoping it would pay off over the course of the season. Pascal, the Senators starter, was a 22-year-old that in 1955, of the 43 games he pitched, 16 of which he started, he held a record of 2-12 with a 6.14 ERA. Good luck, guys. The away team Yankees lineup facing off against Pascal and the Senators for opening day was leading off and playing his usual right field, Hank Bauer. Batting second at shortstop, Jerry Lumpy. Batting third at center field, Mickey Mantle. Batting fourth, the twice reigning American League MVP, Yogi Berra. Batting fifth, coming off a red-hot spring, Bill Skowron at first base. Batting sixth and playing second base, Billy Martin. Batting seventh and covering left field, Elston Howard. At third base and batting eighth, Andy Carey, with Don Larson taking the mound and rounding out the lineup, batting ninth. The lineups were on the field. The president's first pitch had been thrown. It's time for baseball. Home plate umpire Eddie Rommel took his position with Senators catcher Lou Berberet behind home plate. Play ball. Hank Bauer took his warm-up swings in the on-deck circle and stepped into the batter's box. He would be swinging, but popped one foul that the catcher Berberet was able to grab. Jerry Lumpy, now stepping up with one out in his first ever Major League plate appearance, as today was his Major League debut, would do what I think all of us would do. He struck out. Welcome to the big leagues. That brought up Mickey Mantle, who was having his own piping hot spring. I wonder how many of the 27,837 reported attendants were there to see Mickey Mantle put on a show. But luckily, all 27,837 got to see the show. Mickey Mantle started his 1956 season with a blast to dead center field, with it being reported well over 500 feet by reporters. Griffith Stadium was known for its inconsistent asymmetrical dimensions, but also for its deep 421-foot-long center field, that once a ball made it out there, to be a home run, it had to clear a 31-foot wall. It posed no problem for the Mick. What a start to his campaign and what a start to the game, as Don Larson now has a 1-0 lead before he's even touched the ball. Yogi Berra batting after Mantle would walk and be moved to third as Bill Skowron got a base hit to continue his own hot streak, before Billy Martin grounded out to the shortstop to end the top half of the first. Dick Tettelbach would match Mickey's home run with one of his own, though, in the bottom of the first. I know that the rule of not using hindsight has already been set, but I just wanted to make note that this would be Dick Tettleback's first and last and only home run of his career. He called it quits in 1957 after he was sold from the Senators to a minor league team in San Diego. In his first at-bat against the team that traded him, he has his only home run. Good on you, Dick. Whitey Herzog would strike out after the home run, and then Roy Sievers would fly out to Mickey Mantle in center to end the inning. The game would have a quiet second, but in the top of the third, after Hank Bauer grounded out to third, Jerry Lumpy was able to reach on an error. Mantle would strike out, but Yogi would knock one of his own over the 31-foot wall in center field for a 2-run blast, making it 3-1 Yankees. Bill Moose Skowron, doing what Moose does, got another base hit up the middle before Billy Martin grounded out for the second time. The Yankees would score again in the fifth when Hank Bauer led off the inning with a walk. Jerry Lumpy struck out looking, but Mickey Mantle worked a walk for himself. Yogi Berra, with runners on first and second, singled to right field that allowed Bauer to score from second. Skowron would strike out, and Billy Martin would ground out yet again, but the Yankees' lead extended to 4-1. Carl Olson responded in the bottom of the fifth with a home run for the Senators, taking the score to 4-2, but not for long. In the top of the sixth, the Yankees blew the game open. Elston Howard led off the inning with a single to center. Andy Carey then hit a single to left and moved Howard to second. Don Larson and Hank Bauer would each strike out, but with 2 outs and 2 runners on, Jerry Lumpy smacked an easy single to center, scoring Elston Howard and pushing Andy Carey to second. Mickey Mantle then took the opportunity to continue to impress, smacking another home run over the center field wall. Reporters again reporting the distance well over 500 feet. The Yankees took a commanding 8-2 lead. In the bottom of the seventh, Carl Olson hit a 2-run home run, his second of the day, to bring the score back to 8-4. After the home run, Ernie Orovets would take over for shortstop Jose Valdevilso and flew out to left field, and then 20-year-old right-handed batter Harmon Killebrew was put in to pinch hit for the pitcher spot. He would strike out looking. Don Larson's 6th and final strikeout of the day. In the top of the 8th, Jerry Lumpy would have another single, his second hit of the game. Mantle would walk, and then Yogi Berra, showing what an MVP does, smacked a double to the center fielder that scored both of them. The score taken 10-4, that would be the final scoreline after Don Larson got Clint Courtney pinch hitting for pitcher Tex Clevenger to ground out back to the mound. Larson pitched a complete game, giving up 4 runs on 6 hits, 3 of which were home runs. The Yankee bats were awake and ready to strike, combining for 12 hits, 3 of which were home runs, Yogi's and Mickey's 2. Yogi Berra would end up with 4 hits, 5 RBI, and a walk. Lumpy and Skowron would each have 2 hits, showing the 1-5 hitters were driving things home. Carl Olson for the Senators ended up with 3 hits of his own, 2 of which were home runs, and home runs ruled the day across the major leagues. Outside of the Yankees and Senators matchup, Dodgers catcher Roy Campanella hit one. With 2 outs in a tied 2-2 game with the Redlegs, Cardinals outfielder Stan Musial hit a 2-run home run to give the Cardinals the win. 22-year-old Milwaukee Braves outfielder Henry Aaron would hit one. It was his 41st career home run and now the beginning of his 3rd season in the majors. The person with the coolest name that hit a home run on opening day, though, would have to be Philly shortstop Granville Granny Hamner. Granny, this one's for you. With a strong 10-4 outing, the Yankees hit the ground running, scoring the most runs of any team in the league. Whether it was Don Larson pitching a complete game, Mickey's 2 home runs, or Yogi's 4 hits, the Yankees had a lot to be excited about and a lot to build on. Only 3 games would take place the next day: the Red Sox versus the Orioles, the Pirates versus the New York Giants, and the Yankees versus the Senators. While almost 28,000 fans made their way to Griffith Stadium for opening day, only 5,206 made it Wednesday night for Game 2 of the Yankees and Senators series. Johnny Cucks would take the mound for the Yankees, and they made no changes to their defensive lineup, facing off against Bob Weisler for the Senators, and they struck early against him. Hank Bauer started the game with a walk. Jerry Lumpy hit a single to left field that moved Bauer to second. Mantle would walk to load the bases with no outs. Yogi Berra would hit a single to right field, scoring both Hank Bauer and Jerry Lumpy, and moved Mantle to second with Yogi now on first. Still no outs. Bill Skowron hit a single to once again load the bases, and this time, though, Billy Martin, when he grounded into what would have been a double play, Mantle would score from third, and then an errant throw would allow Yogi to score an unearned run on the play, before Elston Howard flew out, and then Billy Martin was caught stealing second to end the inning. It was the Yankees that struck again next, this time in the top of the third. Mantle started the inning with a single to straight center. Yogi walked. Bill Skowron hit a grounder to second, and the Senators took the force out at second, but were unable to turn the double play. Billy Martin then singled, allowing Mickey to score, followed by a single from Elston Howard that scored Bill Skowron. 6-0 Yankees. The bottom half of the third would see the Senators score their first run when Eddie Yost reached on an error, and then was scored on a triple by Dick Tettelback. 6-1. The Yankees would respond quickly, now facing pitcher Hal Griggs after Ernie Orevet's pinch hit for Weisler. Jerry Lumpy would walk in the top of the fourth with one out, and then steal second. The throw from the catcher ended up in the outfield, and Lumpy ended up on third. Mantle sacrifice bunted Lumpy home, 7-1, and 2 outs. Yogi Berra took a walk, Skowron hit a double to the right field wall, and Billy Martin scored them both off a single. 9-1 Yankees. Pete Runnels took Johnny Cucks deep in the bottom of the fourth to make it 9-2, and it stayed that way until the bottom of the eighth. Clint Courtney hit a single, and then Cucks walked both Carl Olson and Lou Berberet. Bases loaded with 2 outs, Stengel brought in Jim Constanti, who immediately gave up a hit to Herb Plews, scoring Clint Courtney. He then walked in 2 runs, walking Eddie Yost and Dick Tettelback, before getting Whitey Herzog to ground out. The score of 9-5 would last as the Yankees picked up their second win of the season, Cucks' first win of the 1956 campaign. Yankee hitters looked dominant after their first 2 games against the former last-place Senators. Bill Martin ended the game with 4 RBI and 2 hits. Elston Howard and Jerry Lumpy also had 2 hits each, and Skowron hit 3. With Yogi's 2 RBI, he now has 7 on the season, and Mantle has 5. Game 3 of the series against the Senators took place the next day, Thursday the 19th, and was a day game at Griffith Stadium that saw the attendance drop to just 2,778, less than 1/10 of the opening day turnout just 2 days prior. Mickey McDermott would take the mound for the Yankees with a lineup that matched the previous 2 games. The Senators made some adjustments to their lineup, though, with Jim Lemon coming in for his first start of the season in right field for Whitey Herzog, as well as Jerry Snyder getting the start at shortstop over Jose Valdivieso, and Ed Fitzgerald starting behind the plate, giving Clint Courtney the day off after his 3 hits the night before. It's common even today to rest a catcher if it's a night game into a day game. Have one start at night and the other start the next day. Unless, of course, you're Yogi Berra, in which case there might as well be evidence that he just slept behind the plate in catcher's gear and all. The new faces of the starting lineup would work out for the Senators. In the top of the first, the Yankees went 1-2-3, with Mantle ending the inning with a strikeout. McDermott would start his afternoon by walking Eddie Yost. Then a routine ground ball was thrown wide by Andy Carey so that Yost reached second and Tettelbeck reached first. Bunting and taking the sacrifice, Carl Olson was out at first, but advanced the runners to second and third, now with just 1 out. Roy Sievers would single to left, the ball making its way to the wall, so both runners could score. Jim Lemon then hit a base hit the other way, to right field for a single, but Hank Bauer made an error himself trying to field the play, and the runners were able to advance to second and third. Shortstop Jerry Snyder hit a ground ball to Jerry Lumpy that sent Roy Sievers home from third. Lumpy, seeing Sievers, threw home, and Yogi tagged him out to prevent another run. Fielder's choice, runners still at first and second with 2 outs. McDermott had been stretched in the bottom of the first already, but was able to get Pete Runnels to fly out to Mickey Mantle to end the inning. The Senators would score again in the bottom of the fourth. This time, Jim Lemon started the inning with a home run to deep center field. Then, with 2 outs, catcher Ed Fitzgerald did the same thing, only this time to left field. Senators extended their lead 4-0. In the top of the fifth, the Yankees would respond. Elston Howard began the inning singling to left, and then Andy Carey doubled to advance Howard to third. Pinch hitting for pitcher Mickey McDermott was the young Lou Schizas, who had a pretty great spring for himself, and was officially making his major league debut. In his debut at bat, he singled to right field, scoring Howard and moving Carey to third, first and third with no outs. Hank Bauer grounded into a double play that scored Andy Carey from third. Bob Serve would pinch hit for Jerry Lumpy, and he ended the inning with a ground out to short. Jim Lemon had a fantastic day, would get his 3rd hit of the day in the bottom of the 5th that would score a run. And then, with 2 outs and 2 runners on, Jerry Snyder hit the ball to right field. Hank Bauer committing his 2nd error of the game would allow both runners to score, and Snyder ended up on second base. The score was now 7-2, and the Yankees had committed a total of 3 errors already. Elston Howard would hit a home run in the top of the 7th to take the score to 7-3, and that is how the score would end up. Mickey Mantle had his bat silenced, going 0 for 4 with that 1 strikeout in the first. Yogi Berra would also go 0 for 4 with his own punch-out, and Hank Bauer, while going 0 for 4 at the plate, would commit 2 errors that would give up 2 runs as a direct cause of them. Andy Carey also committed that error on what should have been a routine double play, but both of what should have been outs turned into 2 runs. So while the pitching from Mickey McDermott might not have been the most impressive in his official Yankee debut, the defense on the whole needs to be tightened up before the next series against Boston in the Bronx. Their first series was behind them, and the Yankees were 2-1. The Yankees maintained the lead in the major league for who scored the most runs with 22, but Boston was right behind them with 20. In terms of runs scored against them, though, the Yankees have been charged for 16 runs, and those were from the Senators, while Boston only gave up 7 runs. The next few games in New York are certainly what the writers have been waiting for all spring. The Red Sox have been voted time and time again as the only real threat to the Yankees in the American League, so the next 3 games that play out in New York definitely have the attention of the baseball world. That series, though, will be saved for next time. Yogi Berra, despite going 0 for 4, was still batting .500 after their first series and looking to put up another season's worth of MVP numbers. Lou Schizas had come off the bench and gotten an RBI hit in his first at-bat of his major league career. Elston Howard also had a big game with his first home run of the summer campaign and is batting .429 so far in 1956. Continuing his red-hot streak, Bill Skowron had 2 hits in their loss and was batting .538 so far. On the pitching side of things, Casey Stengel had sent 5 pitchers to the mound total, never more than 2 in one game. Don Larson started the season with a complete game, and every one of them but Jim Constanti has been charged for at least 1 run. Johnny Cucks worked longer than McDermott did, but Stengel pinch hit for McDermott and then replaced him with Tommy Byrne, who threw 4 innings in their loss. Don Larson had struck out 6 in his complete game, but other than that, Constanti was able to strike out 1 in his 1 1/3 innings pitched. Cucks didn't fan anyone. Byrne only struck out 1, and Mickey McDermott struck out 2. The pitching was about as reliable as their defense was to start 1956, and hopefully in their next game, chairman of the board, Whitey Ford, will settle things down and get his summer off to a good start as he takes the mound for the Yankees at Yankee Stadium for the home opener against the Boston Red Sox. Until then, thanks for listening, and see you next time.